famous and exciting race in the real-life iteration of the championship. Hopefully, we can also have an exciting race this afternoon, as of course, the climate usually can have its tricks up its sleeve. Let's see what it does this afternoon. Moving to the standings, it's Shadow who leads the championship with 126 points following the race at Paul Ricard, followed by Infamous with P2 with 94 points. Then we have Plagues, it's in the second Renault with 77, followed by Andy Nater, the best of the McLarens in P4, and Iceman completes the top 5 as the best of the Alfa Romeo drivers. After that, we have iCurly, who recently became a full-time driver for the Racing Points team, followed by Kruzix as the Red Bull driver, accumulated 45 points so far. Then we have Lehman as the pole, has 38 points, J. Cole in the second McLaren with 9, and Daz Ladd, who got stepped down into a reserve role, is also tied with J. Cole as he completes the top 10. Moving to the constructor standings, it is Renault who leads the table with 203 points, over double the amount of points scored by the Alfa Romeo team, who follows in P2, McLaren in third with 86 points, followed by the Silverstone-based Racing Points with 84. After that, we have home boys in Red Bull with 59 points, followed by the Groove-based Williams with 38, 8 points ahead of the American-based Haas, followed by the two Italian teams of Toro Rosso and Ferrari, 2 points apart from each other, as Mercedes, the German Scuderia, hasn't achieved more than 5 points this season so far. So with that, we can get ourselves started with our qualifying session for the Grand Prix. And today, we have a debutee, at least in our PC commentary booth. It is Jess. She also commentates in the PlayStation side of things. So how are you doing?
I am doing good, and I'm very looking forward to Austria. Who doesn't like Austria? It's a track most favourite for the drivers and for the commentators as well. It always puts on a show, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the PC boys got to lift up to today, and it's quite sunny at the moment.
It is indeed, even though, of course, the big grandstands into turn 1 or into the main straight do cast a bit of shadow, but of course the game doesn't simulate the track temperatures to that level of detail, so it doesn't really matter too much. In the meantime, we've had a few drivers who started their flying laps. See on your monitors a debutee, Gebelvand is doing his reserve part in the Toro Rosso team, and it's going to be his debut Grand Prix. So I'm going to ask you, Jess, do you know him from any other racing championships?
No, but I don't. This is the first time I'll be commentating on him. As much as most of these. I know most of the other drivers. I haven't highly commentated on a few in the past anyway, so yeah. I haven't seen what he's up to, but it's his debut in ILR, so I just want to see if he can challenge the big boys, or if he just wants to get some points. Knowing him, I think he just wants to make a good impression, see what he can do, and see what lap he can produce. And it's a good lap at the moment, 105.8.
Exactly. Well, he's currently in P3. Of course, the lap times are supposed to drop down as time goes on, as he's already been demoted to the top 5. We have a few drivers on the mediums and the softs. I suppose the medium to soft strategy would be the most popular, but we're going to talk about those later on. In the meantime, you have the other Toro Rosso jumping from one to the other, also a reserve. Superior GR is carrying on his flying lap at the moment. But while we watch him complete his lap, Jess, who do you think is going to have? I do believe you know some of the drivers on our fields today. So do you have any bets for good performances?
Well, it's a very, very tough one, but knowing me, if I predict someone, they're probably going to bottle it. So I'm not going to say much, but I have seen Shadow's tweets earlier, and he's been looking very strong on this track as well. And obviously the guy on Paradinator is looking very strong around this track too. So I think those two can be a contender, but I think Curly as well has been looking strong previous races as well. So he could be another person to challenge these guys for the top as well, as he's been quite consistent as well.
Okay, so I'm sorry about the pause mode. I was just messing around in my second monitor. I forgot to bring up chat, As we have actually some fan support on Iceman, as the Belgium driver of the Alfa Romeo has some support by Hydrant in chat. So, by the way, hello chat, how are you guys doing? As we have Iggy about to start his flying lap. Iggy, who has had some solid results early on the season, 2 fourth place finishes at Bahrain and China, then a DNF at Azerbaijan, and since then he's only got 1 points scoring finish with an 8th place at Spain, then a DNF at Monaco, and didn't start the race at Canada or France. So hopefully the British driver will be getting back on a good form, or at least closer to the form he was having earlier on the season. I want to ask you about your prediction for pole, because apparently the commentator's curse is real with you. But do you expect? Who do you think could surprise you the most if he got pole?
Well, I think because the one surprise I've seen in the last couple of races that I wasn't expecting to win a few races was actually J. Carl, who was doing quite well as well. So maybe he could be a surprise up there, get up to the top as well. And Shadow's got a few poles this season. He could be up there. And I don't know. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna say J. Cole could be a surprise for the top guys anyway.
Yeah, let's say it goes. We do have one. We also have another debutee on the screens at the moment. It is Lormans. He is just slotting right in, replacing Daslad. Daslad stepped down to a reserve role, and Lormans, the Dutch driver, the number 25 of the Racing Point, is currently on his flying lap. We also have Kaiba Chimi on a flying lap of his own, and we have Entitai. I'm guessing that J is supposed to be pronounced as an I, but I actually wasn't expecting him here today, so hopefully he can get a good race. It's also going to be his debuting race, so let's see how it goes. In the meantime, Lorman's already derating as he crossed over the line, does get pole nonetheless, so a good performance. Especially, it surprised me quite a bit even more because he was derating through the last corner, so of course didn't quite explore the full amount of horsepower coming off these hybrid power units. Nonetheless, a 1.4.5. I do suspect they will drop down a little bit as we get closer to the dying the dying seconds of the session. Nonetheless, he sets the benchmark for the time being with that 104.5. Jess, are you used to racing around this track?
Yes, I even got a race myself on Thursday, so this gives me an idea of which is the best strategy and which is the worst. Well, I find turn 3 the most difficult on this track. I think mainly because it's so uphill and the apex is so blind, and you have to try and get the best line possible, and that's probably where we might see the most overtaking today, like we saw in real life with Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen on the last few laps. I got very tense watching that battle, so I think that's the only corner I found really bad on, but it's not as bad on the tyres. The softs I find on this track is not too bad. You can go soft for a bit longer than some other tracks, which I would predict it's similar to Australia, I think, because Australia can definitely start on the softs, and with Monaco as well. So it's one of those tracks where you can really start to push a little bit, and you don't need to worry as much.
Yes, exactly, because despite the fact that the track is a bit bumpy, it's not necessarily the most abrasive of surfaces. It's absolutely not like Spa, where a set of softs would get demolished by the end of lap number 5 or something like that. So the drivers can push a little bit on them, but as the race strategies pan out, of course, maybe the medium starters towards the end might get a bit of an advantage, and that way, especially as the corners are very, very fast and you have to commit to them most of the time, the life remaining on the tires towards the end of the stints might be a huge factor, especially as drivers on alternating strategies get closer to each other, and you might have some action in the race. In the meantime, Kai Bashimi gets 9th place as he's back into the pits, and Entitai is going to get himself done with the last lap. He's getting now through turn number 10. Let's see what the debutee does today. Is he going to improve? He crosses over the line. It is not an improvement. 0.3 slower than his previous best. So unfortunately, he's not going to get promoted any places this time around. Bringing it back to the track, you think it's turn 3 the most difficult one for you? I actually find turn 4 the most difficult for me because it is a downhill approach. It is a downhill braking zone. So that can really, especially if you like the brake bias to be on the rear, that's easy to lock up as the weight of the car is tilted towards the front of it. So it's easy to lock up a rear tire, especially in the rain, and it can lead to some scary moments, even in battling, because of course we're always trying to outbrake your opponent. So yeah, I do find turn 4 to be slightly trickier than turn number 3, even though of course turn number 3 we are always going to be or trying to be the last of the late breakers, especially down into turn 1. It's going to be interesting to see if we get any chaos in the opening lap, don't you think?
Yes, I think they need to be, more careful in the opening lap. Turn 1 is where we won't see, I think turn 1 is where we'll take a little bit more caution. I don't see any overtakes in turn 1, to be honest, when we get to the start of the lap. I think turn 2 and turn 3 is where we will see, a lot of the big jumps as well. But if we see some people go off in turn 1, I won't be that surprised as they try to take a little bit of a gamble, because there will be some people that say, "Oh, I can overtake in turn 1. I'll try that," and then they just go into the wall. So, but we'll see anyways as they try to keep together. 6 minutes left. As some people are still out at the moment. I think Cruises is still out at the moment. In the Red Bull, hoping to get his Red Bull team some good points, like the real life team anyway.
Yes, well, they haven't had the strongest of performances, even though Kruzix came back strong after only a 1-point performance from the team at Canada. Only Kruzix got a 10th place finish. They did come back very strong with a podium finish, P2 for Kruzix, the first podium finish of the season, actually the first top 5 finish of the season. So maybe he can carry his newfound form to this Spielberg circuit or the Red Bull Ring. Nonetheless, he's going to cross over the line, and it is not an improvement. Looks like I do believe he was on a flying lap, so maybe he got his lap nullified and he's trying again now, because he's back on mode number 5, so I guess he's going to have another go at it. Do you detect anyone, Jess, who is on a flying lap at the moment?
I don't think anyone else could be on one. I think maybe Lawmans could potentially be about to finish his flying lap, as Curly just gone fastest. How about Lawmans? He goes fastest. Aidenator, no, he's slowing down. He's going to go into the pits. I don't think anyone else is on a lap apart from that, but both of the racing points, 1 and 2, I was not expecting that at all. And just looking at the gap between first and second, 16 thousandths. That's insane around Austria. And if we could see times close in Austria, I think that'll be insane. Because I think this is one of those tracks where we can go through the sub 1 minute. I think not many other tracks can do that. Maybe Monaco, but I think Austria's the fastest lap on the calendar, I think, isn't it?
I do believe so. I do believe Monaco as a track, the lap extension is shorter, but I do believe Austria has the fastest lap time. Kruzix gets himself on his second attempt after getting his first try nullified, gets P3 for the time being with the 1.4. And yes, it is quite surprising to see both racing points in the first 2 spots of the table. Of course, I knew Curly had it in him because on his debut he got P2 at Spain and he won Monaco, and also at Canada he got pole. He just bottled it and finished P9. So I knew he had it in him, the Swiss driver. But Lormans, of course, it is his debut, so we had absolutely no idea. But he's doing a very good job, gaining some respect already. So it's nice to see whenever a driver joins that he's going to push the community further and just be a new name on the block that the other drivers have to respect.
And also from other platforms as well, we've seen people that come from like ILR Xbox and to ILR PC that do quite well as well. Like Infamous, for example, he was in Xbox for a while, and then when he came over to PC, he was producing some very good results. So it's just nice to see debutants like that, and it's nice to see people from all platforms. I think we've got all 3 platforms covered in the space of one lobby tonight, which is great to see. We have obviously Jake and Plexus, who was from PS4. We have Bailey, who was from Xbox, and then everyone else on PC. So yeah, good to see a diverse grid who just really want to give it all they've got. And I think, because it's obviously a long season, they got to prove themselves, obviously. And we're already seeing some early favourites in the title, but it is not over until the last few rounds. It could all change as we get to the second half of the season, which is not that too long away.
Yes, exactly. Especially towards the title fights, Infamous as being making it close between Shadow, because Shadow, of course, he gets the consistent podiums, but he's struggling to find that extra pace that Infamous is able to. So Infamous slowly but surely is able to nib bit by bit on the lead, and of course he's not able to attend the race today, which is a bit of a shame. It's going to allow Shadow, unless Shadow has some catastrophic performance, it's going to allow him to expand on that gap. But he's certainly making it quite interesting so far. Speaking about Shadow, he's about to close out his flying lap. Does not improve. Actually, 1 second slower.
No, he was on his outlap. He was on his outlap then, because I saw him weaving a little bit there towards the final corner.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that one. In the meantime, Ace of Spades, I couldn't see if he improved, but he maintains. I didn't see him move up. I do believe he maintains 9th for the time being. Iceman is also going very slowly, mode number 0 of ERS. We have iCurly, who's going to look for an improvement. He looks like he's giving it beans. I was also looking at chat a while ago, and there was Shadow saying that it was awkward because he was 6/10 off of his personal best. So maybe he has a bit more on the tank, but it's going to be tough to beat the competitors, especially the Racing Points. They are proving to be very strong, at least on this track today. In the meantime, we do have some drivers who are going to start their flying laps. I would like to find someone who is on a flying lap at the moment. We're going to look at Bailey Thompson. Sorry?
Or is about to start one we can try and find, but I think that's probably going to be impossible.
Bailey is a bit slower. He's still in Sector 2, but I'm going to stick with him for a while. And Shadow is out.
Yeah, so he's not able to improve on his PB for some reason. Maybe he's found some time that, I don't know. But that means he's going to start lower than we thought he was going to go. That's my qualifying prediction out the window. See, told ya. Told ya. Sorry, Jake.
Well, maybe he could gain that. I actually forgot the name of your prize after 3 laps. Nonetheless, we're going to get started with a flying lap. We're going to get started with a flying lap at the Red Bull Ring. And as you can see, it's Bailey Thompson going uphill into turn 1, going high over the curbs to get himself the best angle of approach into turn 1. Now he's away smoothly on the power is required, as you need to put it or to translate the power down through the wheels to the tarmac as soon as possible. Hard braking zone once again into turn 3, as DRS is going to be open wide at the back of his Alfa Romeo. Now he's going to be downhill from this point onwards until the end of the lap. Another tough braking zone 100 meters away or thereabouts into turn number 4. Is now get through turn number 5 officially. You just continue the steering motion. Nonetheless, another very difficult to spot braking zone into turn number 6, repeating the motion a little bit for turn number 7, getting wide and extending over the curb for turn number 8, as gets now fully committed to turns number 9 and into the downhill approach of turn number 10. You must not cut too hard or the sausage curb will bite your rear end. Nonetheless, he gets himself through the line and it is a 1:04.2, granting him third place at the moment. Jumping to Andy Nater, who's also about to start, or about to end rather, his flying lap. On the live timing, he was showing as improving by about 2/10. Let's see what he does. He does improve, but he lost a bit of time in the last corner. We also have a couple drivers on their flying laps. The checkered flag has been shown to some of the drivers, and actually no, Cisco aborts his lap, getting himself to the pits, and the Portuguese is at the back of the pack once again. So looks like this is it. It was a very quick end because all the drivers were out there at the same time. But anything you believe is noteworthy about these results?
Look at the gap between Curly and Plexit. 0.004 of a second. I haven't seen Austria that close between the top two. That's insane. And my biggest surprise in this qualifying session is Bailey in P3. Because I've seen him in the top 10 in PC last week, I believe. And he's got P3 in Austria, which is a great qualifying result for him. He's going to hopefully have a good start as well. So that's my surprise of the session. But Curly, I was expecting to be up there, and he delivered.
Exactly, as you were mentioning, 4,000ths of a second separating the top two. Lormans wasn't able to complete the front row lockout for the racing points, as Plexit gets P2, Bailey Thompson in P3 still within a second, Lormans just over a second in P4, Kruzix in P5, Shadow P6 in the second best Renault. At least he didn't lose as many places as he possibly could, given the fact that he wasn't able to get a second lap or maybe a third lap done. Then we have both McLarens followed by Ace of Spades, as Kai Bashimi gets himself in the last of the top 10 spots. So it's going to it is a respectable qualifying performance from the youngster of the Haas. And yeah, let's see if he can get himself a new best result. Of course, his best result so far was the 9th place he achieved at France. So maybe he can find himself in an even higher position this afternoon. While we wait for the drivers to get sorted out in terms of their strategies with their chefs or whatever they call their race engineers, we are going to take a look at the strategies ourselves. So according to my data, and correct me, Jess, if that's not the data you have, I have as possible strategies softs to mediums by pitting at lap 15, softs to hards by pitting at lap 11, or you can do the mediums to softs by pitting at lap 20 and going on a short sprint towards the end with those soft tires. What do you think would be the most popular one?
I don't know. Softs, they have about two. They have two decisions to make really on what they're gonna pit to their second stint. If they feel like they're managing their softs well, they can go out a bit longer and go on to the mediums. But if they feel like their softs are dying, they can go on to the hards. But yeah, I agree with what you were saying. Your data, I think, is accurate for the strategies we've got on circuit, which means whatever strategy they're on today, it's going to be one stop no matter what. I don't think the two stops going to be faster if they ever try to do it. So yeah, I think soft to hards will be the most popular, but we might see people from the top guys might try soft to mediums. I did have a shot when someone did try that in France in the race I was commentating on, and I was very shocked. But that was because I didn't do my research right. But hopefully we've done our research right today. And looking at the tyres, I think everyone in the top 11 is obviously on the softs. Everyone in the top 10 will have to start the quali that they set, the tyre that they set their fastest lap on. But the bottom half do get free choice of tyres. So Gelberband, the Toro and the Red Bull and Cisco on the softs, everyone else on the medium. So no hards used today. So it just goes to show at the beginning of the race, hards is not as useful, but it may be good for your second stint. We'll just have to wait and see. It can be very unpredictable here.
Exactly. The weather can have its tricks up its sleeve. Nonetheless, looks like the skies aren't too threatening at the moment as the drivers are getting themselves on their designated grid slots. Rotograph, Iceman, and Anti-Tie are starting on the medium tires, so a bit of an alternate strategy, an alternate approach to the race from those drivers. Nonetheless, we are about to get it started as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix. We have a good start from the top two. Bailey Thompson loses a bit of ground too. Lormans west to swerve left and right. He decides to go down the inside into turn number 1, looking to get that third spot. Bailey does cover him on the exit. It's going to be a drag race uphill into turn number 2 and 3. Shadow already moved up past Kruzix as they are on a drag race of their own. Let's use the last of the late breakers as we have Lormans going down the inside, still in P4. There's a Ferrari going wide. That is Ace of Spades. Both Toro Rossos get through, move up to 10th and 11th respectively. Kruzix also moves up to P4, so a good start from them. Jess, did you see anything that catches your eye?
Wow, what a start from Curly from the racing point, but the other racing point of Lawmans. Didn't get the best of starts, unfortunately, down to P5 already. But we're already seeing people making quite a few positions as I think Kai just made one position up into 9th place, so he's having a good start already. But he's got the two Toro Rossos fight for position as well. So not much trouble at the moment, which is surprising, apart from the Ferrari who missed the braking zone. As we've got a yellow flag.
It is superior GR. Yes, it is superior GR. He lost the rear. There might have been contact with a Ferrari, just a slight step on the rear of the Toro Rosso. Couldn't quite catch it. If it was a tap, there was a pretty light one. Nonetheless, if there was a tap, it was enough for superior GR to lose control. Did a spin, managed to miss everyone, so no one was collected. Also managed to miss the wall. Unfortunately, he's going to have a bit of work to do to move up through the pack again. In the meantime, Shadow has had a bit of a tussle with Lormans, but Shadow maintains P5, is going to hunt down Kruzix, trying to get himself one place above where he currently is at the moment. The Ferrari of Ace of Spades dropped a few places in the aftermath of the incident with Superior GR, so now Cisco, the Portuguese, is all on his rear end, even though we have Andy Nater and J. Cole, both McLaren drivers, coming to a bit of a fight there. Andy Nater moved up to P7, and yeah, looks like things have normalized for the time being. Cisco moves down. Did you catch that? Cisco is out! Not out, but Cisco has considerable amounts of damage, Jess.
Yep, he has. I think he's lost a bit of his front wing, so he has to go into the pits there. So a bit of a mistake for him. The Ferrari's not doing very well in Austria at the moment. One Ace of Spades lost his braking zone, and now Cisco's lost his front wing. So he has to go into the pits very early on. As I'm impressed with the two McLarens at the moment, keeping it together and still allowing to race. I think Zach Brown must be really nervous seeing both of those McLarens racing at the moment. I think I'm just wondering what these guys are going to do. But Plexit is really starting to catch up to iCurly right in front as well. And speaking of who's gained the most positions at the end of lap 2, well, I can't really... Well, actually, it's a Rotograph up in P14.
So he is the winner of our Supercharge Award, is that correct?
Yep, that's it. I do it in PS4 and Xbox. I'm glad you introduced that to PC. Thank you. So he gets the first one. There's many more to come. So it's the one who gains the most position after the end of lap 2. And there he's got it.
Exactly. Another interesting fact about the McLarens, Andy Nater and J. Cole, on the last 3 races, 2 of them, they've finished the race one exactly behind the other. At both Monaco and Canada, Andy Nater finished in P4, J. Cole finished immediately behind in P5. J. Cole didn't attend the French Grand Prix, so that streak that was a possibility of happening didn't actually materialize because he didn't show up. Nonetheless, they are following each other once again here at Austria. So once again, the McLaren boys fighting for supremacy within their garage. As we have Gelbovand going to the inside of Kaibashimi. There was a bit of contact there into turn number 4, a bit naughty there from both of them. Kaibashimi is not backing down that easily, actually brakes later into turn number 6. Braveness there on the brakes from Kaibashimi. Gelbovand got a bit intimidated perhaps, so as he goes wide. That is... Ooh, that's a bit of like what Bottas did in either practice or qualifying in the real life affairs, didn't he? Exactly. Also added a travel time to that gravel trap, a bit of the safari line perhaps, even though there's no spot for tourism today. This racing track. Gelbovand gets demoted to P15 due to his mistake. A Shadow has a move on Kruzix. Jess, did you see that one?
Nope, I didn't as I was following P15. But yeah, Shadow already up into P4, so he's starting to make up some ground. Like I said, I think he's trying to make up from what he didn't do in qualifying, and is to be fast in a race, and that is what he's trying to do. He's a little bit further back to Bailey at the moment, but Kruzix is still right behind. But as you can see right behind as well, Aidenate is still on the back of Lawman, so Lawmans must be feeling the pressure after Shadow, and Kruzix got right past him as well, as I think Lawmans is struggling a little bit on his tyres a little bit there, as Aidenator actually goes past him into turn 8, I think. I'm losing track of turns, but there we go. Aidenator goes past Lawmans.
Exactly. He got a bit squirming coming out of turn number 8, I believe that is, yes.
Yeah, oh,
And Andy Nater was just able to say easy peasy, papaya squeezy, in the case of the McLaren, and he gets himself up to a P6. J. Cole is trying to have some pieces from that battle come his way. Unfortunately, he was too far behind, so he's going to have to stay firm in P8 for the time being. Moving back to the front of the pack, Curly, I'm actually a bit surprised he isn't really pulling away from Plexits. Plexits hasn't shown to be consistently a top 3 runner. He has only appeared on the podium 2 times, one at Monaco and once at Canada, hasn't won this season, but he's making a strong case from himself. He's keeping himself within half a second of Curly, and despite each other showing consistent and balanced pace between each other at this point, if there's any of those making any mistakes, they are sure to be run over from the pack, because most of the drivers, at least the top 8, they are probably not 5 seconds apart from 1st to 8.
wow.
I can't quite do the maths at the moment, but I do believe to me 5 seconds is enough to cover them all.
4.9. 4.9 seconds separating the top 8. So that's just insane to me. But and we've got our first retirement of the session, which is Rotograph in the Toro Rosso. I'm just seeing if I can go on board with Cisco to see if I can. No, I think he's a bit too further back to go. I can't really check and see where he's retired, but that's unfortunate for him. He was going so well, but Plexit managed to find a little speed for some reason into turn 4 there. He's doing really well as he goes approaching turn 5. He's got more ERS to play with than Curly, so he may use it when it counts and pull up the pressure a little bit, which I think is very important, and I think ERS saving is very crucial, especially on those power saving tracks.
Exactly. You can also try to employ a bit of strategy, because as you have the RS and the slipstream, you don't need to run a higher, as I do believe Higgsy has left the session, so Higgsy also DNFing.
No, he's retired, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, he has retired. So we have 2 victims already, but as I was saying, Plexit might take advantage of the fact that he has the slipstream to not run as high of a ERS mode to reach the same speed as iCurly. So Curly, to survive in first place, needs to get a bit of a higher boost from the electric part of his engine, of his hybrid power unit, and with that he depletes the energy a bit quicker. So Plexit's putting the squeeze on the resources of Curly, and it's going to be a bit of a battle of attrition between those two. He's not going to wait any longer, though. There is contact between the rear tire of Plexit and the front tire of Curly. Nonetheless, they kept it semi-clean. There was no damage for any of the cars, and Plexit takes the lead.
Very committed there from Plexit. What a move there. A little bit of contact, but no harm done, no damage. But I think Mike Curley is not going to go back from this, and he's going to try it again to see if he can get past Plexit, because the win is far from over. And Shadow has also found some time on the Alfa Romeo in 4th place, so doing quite well there.
Exactly, he's getting himself within 2/10. It's going to be a bit of a harder task to overtake, because of course Bailey has DRS from the Racing Point ahead of him. The Racing Point on its turn also has DRS from Plexit, but now Curly can't really go for it because he needs to manage ERS. Of course, he can do the same strategy I was talking about, but now in reverse. He could be the one saving ERS while still keeping himself up to the pace of Plexit, but Plexit, through the corners where Curly would theoretically have to save, Plexit can run just a little bit higher ERS mode, because he has the battery charge, that extra charge to work with, and he can start pulling away. We are going to see that one in the laps to come. In the meantime, J. Cole overtook Lormans, so Lormans, despite having a respectable qualifying performance, it looks like he's struggling a little bit on the race pace, especially through turns number 7 and 8. Once again, just as I went on board with him, he had to do a few correction movements on his steering wheel to keep the car pointing in the right direction. In the meantime, yes, go on,
Bailey and Curly. Bailey just got past Curly into turn 1. What a move from Bailey there. Oh, and Curly has spun it a little bit there into turn 1. Not good on his tyres right there. Another Racing Point struggling. He was right catching up to Plexit there, but now he's nowhere to be seen. and he's down in 6th place now. Aidenator and Cruz is going side by side into turn 3 as well, and I think Cruz keeps the place from Aidenator, but Aidenator's going to try once again. So what performance from Bailey today, might be the strongest performance for him so far. I can't remember where his best finish is, but he's looking like to get his best finish at the moment, but that means Plexit can save way more ERS when it counts, as he's already trying to at the moment, or he can start to push where it really counts to keep that gap up when it goes to the pit stop. So I think I think he had that bottle moment just like we've seen in a few races where he started pole but then finished 9th or something in Canada. So
yes.
And yep, he's going to the pit, so he must have had a little issue there.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Bailey is in the wall coming out of last corner. He lost the rear and smashed his front wing in the wall. He has considerable amounts of damage. So he's going to love that commentary. He's going to love that one. But as I was going to say, Bailey, he didn't finish his debut race at France because there was a moment out of turn 2 in lap 1. It was a 3-wide moment between Kaibashimi, one of the Renaults, and someone else who I don't remember. That resulted in a huge collision coming out of turn number 2. Multiple cars were collected, and Bailey Thompson, unfortunately at that point, got himself some terminal damage, so wasn't able to finish. His debut Grand Prix is back strong in terms of pace, but just getting on the top of the curb. The curb isn't as grippy as the black stuff, and he paid the price for that one. Yep. Into the wall he goes, massive amounts of front wing damage, and is going to have to go in for repairs.
Yeah, meanwhile, Aidenator has found some more time to cruise. It's on that lap's just gone, and he's doing well on ERS as well, so he's going to try and gain some time. And the Tour also struggling once again then on pace. As Plexit is going into the pit, so is Lawman, Bailey as well, Ace of Spades. Plexit, I believe, for his scheduled pit stop, as he's going on to the medium, so I'm guessing he's committing to soft to medium strategy. I did say before the start of the race in the formation lap, the top guys could do soft to mediums, and I think that's what Plexit is trying to do. And Curly is going for the hard, and so is Lawman and Bailey as well. But Ace of Spades go for the mediums, and Aidenator is going to try and go to the right-hand side here. Krusik defends to the inside, and Shadow, they're really close to Shadow now up as well, so a three-way battle for the lead. It's going to get very spicy here today.
It is indeed. Of course, Krusik taking, not Krusik, sorry, Aidenator taking a cheeky look down the inside, not with the amount of success he was expecting at this point. Nonetheless, he's not the type of guy to back down that easily, as he's going to get himself around the outside. Does Krusik... Ooh, that was a bit...
That was a dummy, almost, but he decided to go to the pits anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I do believe Krusik just missed his braking points into the pits. He was trying to get himself into the pits, so braking early, because you have to take a tighter line if you want to go into the pits, but I believe he just overcooked his brakes a little bit, came into the outside of the corner, and then Aidenator had to slow down a bit. That might compromise once again his battle with J. Cole, as the McLarens are once again following each other quite closely. It is a 1.3 second gap, but of course J. Cole can still get an inspired lap and close that gap and create some excitement for us spectators and commentators, and of course some not welcome increase of heart rate in Zach Brown's heart. So that's going to be one to look for. In the meantime, Plexit comes out of the pits in traffic, is still the leader out of the drivers that have pitted, who are on the one-stop strategy. I do believe the drivers who pitted in the previous lap for the mediums are doing it a little bit earlier, because according to my data, it was lap 15, the theoretical best lap to pit for the mediums. Lap 11 would be for the hards. So let's see, maybe these drivers are just that confident on their capability to save the tires. But of course, we are going to see as the strategies pan out who and who does not have that ability. In the meantime, Jess, we have Cisco in the pits. Unfortunately, his race, just like his season, is not going. He hasn't had much success, has he?
No, he hasn't, which is a bit of a shame for the Ferraris, to be honest. And I think. There's some seasons where you have drivers that just has rotten luck, and unfortunately Cisco has had bad luck, which is a shame because we always want to see underdogs do well. I want to see underdogs do well, so we may see a race where we could see him have a chance to do well. As I think Curly and Shadow are having a battle towards turn 4 there, and in the pit stops, Curly was ahead of Shadow there, who did that undercut, even though Curly had a bit of damage and had a little bit of a spin when Shadow got ahead of him. So Curly getting that undercut just right, but because of Curly's almost spin into the wall, that means Curly had to go on the hard tyres, whereas Shadow is on the medium, so he will have a better grip at the moment, but when it gets to the end, his tyres might start to degrade a bit, whereas Curly's may come to his own a little bit there. As I think we've got more people going to the pits now, going on to our set of the medium tyres. Shadow goes round the inside into turn 1, and there he goes. Shadow is up into P5 ahead of Curly there, as he's making up for lost time, and he's going to try and catch up to his teammate, but it's going to be a bit of a hard task at this moment in time, as I think Kai Bacchini goes into P10 after the pit stops on his medium tyres, and Ace of Spades gets time penalty.
Exactly, not the most... I do believe he's the first driver to get a penalty, so not the most disciplined race, or at least or at least a bit more creative interpretation of track limits, which the stewards didn't necessarily appreciate too well. So it gets slapped in the wrist with a 3-second penalty as Billy Thompson overcooks the brake. There were 2 big puffs of smoke coming out of the front tires of the Alfa Romeo, nearly avoided the Ace of Spades rear end on that Ferrari. That rear diffuser could have been severely damaged. Billy Thompson doing the avoiding action, keeping the car on track, which is most important, but also avoiding Ace of Spades rear end. So at least he managed to save that one. In the meantime, we do have J. Cole getting into the pits following his teammate pit stop. Of course, the car ahead most times as priority in terms of the pit stop strategy. J. Cole is going to come right behind his teammate, even though his teammate is about to get a racing point between them. Lormans doesn't have a chance to retaliate, as he was forced onto the outside of turn number 3, and even as he comes out of it, he does have the DRS at his disposal, but he wasn't able to put the traction down as early as Andy Nater. Doesn't have a chance to retaliate, and he is down to P8 once again. Looks like most of the strategies have panned out, or most of the pit windows have opened for some of the drivers. Iceman and Antitai are doing the mediums to soft strategy. They are going to pit at about lap 20. Antitai, exactly, Shadow throws himself down inside. He's taking no prisoners, is he? He really wants that win. Really wants to get himself up to his teammate, moves up to P3. That was a bold maneuver, and he's about to do the same as he gets himself on the inside of Iceman. Even before the braking zone, he's already ahead. What a beautiful maneuver there as he gets past the Belgium driver, moves up into P2. Iceman is going to have the DRS now. Maybe he can give back the favor as we get uphill into turn number 3. Is looking at the outside. Let's see, he's going for it. Shadow gives him a bit of the squeeze, giving Iceman not much of a chance to just send the envelope. And he ends up not doing that, and is going to maintain P3 for the time being. He probably knows this isn't really his race. He doesn't really want to lose much time battling with his rivals.
Oh, Crew 6 just spinned it in turn 4 as I think he just went into the gravel trap a little bit. I think he just missed his braking zone again. So, yeah, Crew 6 down in 8th place now, which is not where he wants to be. But Shadow, he's on fire. He wants this win, and he's not going to let that go, to be honest, as, like we said, he is a strong trap for him race pace-wise, and he's already gained quite a few positions, but Iceman, he couldn't put him without a fight. He was on older tyres, but he was still able to catch Shadow, which was insane. It just goes to show that he can manage his tyres really well, and this will give us an insight on how long these medium tyres last, which will give some good news for the other guys. Meanwhile, I think we've got the Haas of Entergy on Curly going past turn 3 now. He's a little bit of a bump almost into turn 3 as I think the Racing Point gets the outside. Yes, he does, and the Racing Point gets P4 for now on those hard tyres. And I'm sure that Entergy will go into the pit soon. I think after that, or maybe the next couple of laps or so. And also Ethan Nater is going to go past him as well. Yes, he does, up into P5. So the McLarens are spread out at the moment. Not as close as they were at the start of the race, but they're on different strategies anyway. in terms of when they pitted. So of course they'll be in different places, and obviously the Haas hasn't pitted, so that's probably why as well. So some good performances from pretty much the top 5, I must say, as Curly is starting to make a bit of a comeback there, as in 4th place. So the race is not over yet for him, and it just shows the race is not over until the checkered flag as well. Oh, Plexit's got a time penalty, 3 seconds, not good for him, but I think that's going to help his teammate as well. But they still want that Renault 1-2, so these two have really got to start working together if they want to make sure they do that.
Okay, so you have iCurly now, this time around, going down the inside of Iceman, trying to replicate a bit of the move Shadow did, although in a different corner, but Iceman just is really good on the tires, as you were mentioning. He was able to still have a good exit and keep up with Shadow when the Renault overtook him. And yes, Iceman has always been known to get some good recovery drives. He doesn't get the flashiness of that one-lap pace, but he does come through during the race pace, especially if he's on alternate strategies like he is today. It's a bit of lagginess. I don't know if it was just on my end. It teleported a little bit as he lost the place to Curly and Detonator, and Detonator is going to challenge the Swiss driver down the outside, and is not going to come through. He's going to have to stick in P4 for the time being, even though the DRS is going to be available at the back of the McLaren. There was a bit of the delay on its deployment, as he maybe wasn't expecting to get it, I don't know, but he did took an extra second to deploy it, and he was a bit quicker this time around. Nonetheless, he did have a squirmy rear end, a bit of a tank slapper.
Normans is having an attack on Enter Jai as well, and potentially Crutis is coming back at him as well. Yes, he does. Norman's back to where he was before, up into P6 on the track, and I think Aidenator's catching up again to Curly on that lap. So still some changeable moves, and I think Bailey's going to try and get into the points as well. He just got past Ace of Spades, but I think he's gone off the circuit a little bit there. Yes, he has. So the Ferrari has got past him. I think that might have been an illegal overtake maybe, or maybe just misjudged his braking point. I don't know. It was impossible to see on my screen, to be honest, but yeah, as not many penalties at the moment, but I will check later on towards the end just to give you guys an idea, as we are pretty much already halfway in this race. Anything can happen, and we could see some mistakes and we could see people shine as well. So let us know in the chat who you think is going to win this race and who you think is going to get podium, and who's been your stand-up performer so far.
I do believe Shadow is going to come through it to win, especially with the penalty of Plexis. Plexis has been doing well to not lose too much time per lap to his teammates. Nonetheless, we have Iceman losing another place. As good as he is on all tires, as good as he is on managing them, he can't do miracles, correct? It's just on 20 laps old mediums, and his rivals have less than half of those made. Sandinator finally gets himself through the racing point of Curly, and Kruzix gets past Iceman, also taking advantage of the lack of traction that the Belgian driver has from those worn out medium Pirelli tires. Nonetheless, we have reached lap 21. This is about the point where those medium starters are coming to the pits, so Iceman and Entity are going to be coming into the pits to get serviced anytime soon. In the meantime, we have Kruzix catching up to Lawrence.
Good timing, because Iceman goes into the pits.
Exactly, so yeah, he does get into the pits. By the way, I just got reminded, I am proud of my spatial awareness when I was claiming that top 8 was 5 seconds apart from each other, and you came through with the 4.9, so I'm pretty proud of that one as well. But coming back to getting back to your question, Shadow is struggling a little bit. Maybe he's saving, I don't know, but he's keeping himself in the 3.8, 3.9 gap to the leader, which is his teammate. So the teammate, I do believe, is going to lose out towards the end, especially because of that 3-second time penalty. So I do believe Shadow is going to be the winner. Plus, I wasn't expecting him to be this strong, though. I know he's capable of getting those podiums sporadically and getting those top 5 finishes, but having this sort of pace is a little bit of a surprise to me. And Detonator is also doing very, very well, even though I should probably be used to this, as he's finished 4th in 2 out of the last 3 races, and is coming on his way to 4th place once again, or maybe challenging for the podium. As there's contact with Curly, and is in the wall. Did Curly get in the wall as well? Yeah, both are spun around, both are in the wall, and that's prime time commentator's curse right there. As Curly,
it wasn't me there. It was you. As I think the Racing Point got away with that a little bit. I think the McLaren had a bit more damage there, as I think Kai Bacchini's picking up the places to say, see you later, you've had damage, you contacted each other, I can gain a couple of positions and he's up into P6. So as I think Curly's still going to have another challenge anyway, so looks like also a bit of contact there. But no harm done, obviously, but I'm sure that the McLaren will probably have to go into the pits. Oh, yeah, he's lost his left wing completely. Not the whole of his front wing, though, so it could be... He could have been in a worse situation, but that means J. Cole has got a lot to do now to see if he can get points for McLaren, which is going to be tough, but we've seen him do it before. He's had a win, and he's obviously had consistent finishes, so we will see with J. Cole. So Curly goes into the pits as well, so he probably picked up, yeah, he did pick up damage, but not as much. But even if you get little damage around here, it does cost a lot of time, especially around turn 3, so I think it's the best decision for Curly to go into the pit lane, and he's going on the soft tyres, which is not that surprising. So is Aiden Ater, so they're going to make those to the end, I think, as well.
So yeah, this ends up benefiting, obviously, some of the drivers that were behind him that are going to take the tires to the end. For example, Kai Bashimi. That one, I was hoping on him to get a better results than his best finished 9th place at France, and is currently up to P6, so nicely done from the youngster. But also Iceman and Antitai, who went on the reverse one stop, and now the pack that they have to overtake just thinned itself out a little bit by the misfortunes of iCurly and Andy Nater. So Antitai and Iceman have 2 less 2 cars to overtake, as they are already promoted up to P8 and P9 respectively, as we have Lormans, who after his struggles in the first stint, the hard tires might starting to come onto his own, as you were mentioning also a while ago. These tires do degrade a bit at a lesser rate than the mediums. So in terms of the percentage of tire wear, Lorman's hard tires might have a bit of an advantage towards the end. He might still finish in the podium on his debut, which would be absolutely amazing for the Dutch driver.
That will be good to see. He's been good in other leagues as well. I've watched him in other leagues. He's good from climbing his way back up the field, and even if he's had a poor start or if he's had a few incidents, he can come back and still try to finish what he started, which is good to see. You got to have a positive mindset, really. If you get damaged, some people may just be forced to say, oh, I give up, I may as well retire now, but I don't do that, because you could be like Normans, where you do have troubles towards the start of the race, and then you climb up like this, and that's proof of the pudding as well. And Iceman as well, and Ace of Spades, remember Ace of Spades had a bit of problems at the start. He lost his braking zone in turn 3 and lap 1. Look where he is now, P7 I mean. So yeah, so my advice to you, if you get damage in any race, just keep going, because you never know where you might finish, because other people may be slower than you and you may be able to compromise, and if you keep it cautious towards the end of the Grand Prix where others don't, this is where your chance to score some points will be increased. So, and that's what Ace in Spades is doing. So, and also I think I'm just looking at the position changes to see who is yeah, pretty much Iceman, and the ones who gained have definitely benefited from the ones who've had instants, and Bailey, I think, has lost it out of everyone today, and Curly as well. Curly's lost 9, Bailey's lost 10, so comparing to Cisco's had a bad race, but he's gained 1 position, obviously, because the other 2 have retired, so
exactly.
Yeah, this race has been actually quite good in terms of entertaining point of view. Already on lap 27, and as I was talking about Ace of Spades, he gets a time penalty, so not going to say anything more about Ace of Spades. There we go. Meanwhile, Normand is going to lunge cruise into turn 3. He's going to get the left-hand side here. He tried to cover him off the racing point, going side by side there, going to DRS then. Lohrmann, he's got DRS. Does Krusik have DRS? No, he doesn't. So I think Lohrmann is going to get the position. Yes, he does. Lohrmann's going into turn 4 now, and I think he gets it. But I think Krusik is going to challenge him soon, approaching turn 5 as well. And I think there's 3 DRS zones here, so he has a couple more chances. But Lohrmann's in the podium spot, and Lohrmann's doing well on those hard tyres where he means it most.
Exactly. Well, while we're talking about having a positive mentality, someone who has struggled, especially as you touched on Ace of Spades off into turn 3, some of the benefactors from that one were the Toro Rossos. Unfortunately, Gelbovand and Superior GR struggling, especially Superior GR was following Andy Nater, if I'm not mistaken, and Superior GR adds 2 big misses of the braking zones into turn 1 and turn 3 as I was going on board with him because he was close with Andy Nater. And speaking of getting close into turn 3, Krusik goes down the inside of Lohrmann's once again. He gets a bit too deep. Lohrmann's going to say thank you very much, going to claim P3 once again, and he's also going to get DRS of his own on the downhill section into turn number 4. So he's going to maintain P3 for the time being. But as I was saying, the Toro Rossos once again not having the brightest of performances. It's both reserve drivers today. The full-time drivers for Toro Rosso weren't able to attend. So Superior GR and Dribble1 are both reserved. Dribble1 on his debut, not getting the best performance. Unfortunately for him, Superior GR, he has had his fair share of races, even though his best finish so far has been 11th place at Monaco, with 13th place finishes at Spain and Canada, a DNF at France, and doesn't look like it's going to be much better this time around.
No, it's not, which is a shame. I'm hoping the Toro Rossos do well, because I raced in them in ILR as well, but unfortunately they are starting to recover a little bit, which is good to see, and they're not making any more mistakes, which is, I think, important, which could be good in consistent finishes, as we've got Krusik again going past Lohrmann's. Can Lohrmann's challenge once again? He's going to try the same move as he did 1 lap ago. This is just never ending with these two. It's like round number 3 or round number 4 of these battles, and this is great stuff to see those two fighting for the podium, which is what we want to see in ILR, the best of the best drivers fighting for the best points. And I think Lohrmann's and Krusik they're going to try their best almost certainly, but I think Lohrmann's, is just going to have the edge due to the fact of the tyre life, and Bailey, unfortunately, it's going to be 2 DNF from 2. He's out of the race, and I can't see where he retired, sadly, so...
Last corner, so he either crashed or he went into the pits. I don't see any yellow flags, so yeah, I guess he went into the pits. In the meantime, while we're talking about Bailey, his teammate is having much better luck. He's taking advantage of the fact that he has fresh tires to overtake Ace of Spades. So both Italian cars coming to blows. Iceman does get the upper hand on that instance. He gets up 2P7 as Krusik and Lohrmann's. I apologize for backing out from these two, because with these two, once again, these Krusik this time around does nail it. He went once again for the inside line maneuver for a 3rd time in a row. By the way, if any of you like Eurobeat, just queue up Deja Vu. I can't do it for copyright reasons, but maybe this would be a fitting song for this battle. Nonetheless, Krusik does get 3rd time lucky and is able to nail the braking zone. He went a bit deep in the first 2 attempts. Practice makes perfect, right? And now he perfected the move, got himself up to P3.
Yeah, and it's when it counts, really, and possibly through the final few laps as well, is a chance for possibly Lohrmann's to possibly come back, or maybe Krusik to come back as well. And yeah, good job from these 2 all race, I'd say, just keeping it clean when it matters, and having troubles of their own. But and Krusik had a little bit of a slide there. That was a save, and that's probably gained more time to Lohrmann's going past turn 2. It's getting a bit darker at the moment as the temperature starts to cool down a little bit on those tyres, so they may have a bit more difficulty in trying to warm up those tyres, but that is not stopping Krusik and Lohrmann's battling like they can. Lohrmann's is going to get a bit of DRS, but I don't know if he's not going to challenge. He backs out of it. He's got low ERS at the moment. He is closing up to him quite well, though, so he is doing well on pace at least. Anyway, meanwhile, the gap between the Renault teammates still 3.2 seconds, and Shadow needs to find 2 attempts in order to take the win from Plexit. Plexit will need to keep the gap up if he wants to maintain this win. I think Plexit only has 1 penalty, so at the moment, if it stays as it is, he's still going to win anyway. And I wonder what the team bosses will be saying in the garage. Will Shadow be forced to go a bit slower, or will he be forced to push and do the hammer time? But we'll see.
I mean, this is not Singapore, and this is not 2009, but, and of course, he's not Piquet. Plexit is not Piquet, despite his name starting with a P as well, and is being, at least so far, the second driver in terms of performances. He did get a 3-second time penalty, though. Let's see how it goes. Shadow would benefit from that if he can get what is now 4-10th gap between him and the win. Of course, he's going to have to push a bit. I really did not expect Plexit to keep up with Shadow in this way. I know Plexit is quick. He's probably quicker than me. That's why I'm on the commentary booth. Nonetheless, he's really showing his fangs. He's really going for it as Iceman overtakes Kaibashimi, so the youngster gets demoted to P7. One important thing to point out is that Ace of Spades has been able to keep up with Iceman, taking the slipstream and the RS, not really pressing the advantage if he has any at this point, and not really going over aggressive to lose time, but the fact that he kept up with the Belgian driver has brought him to Kaibashimi, so good strategic choice if there was his intention from the Ferrari driver as well. So very well done from him. So we're going to jump to Lorman. Said there was a thing while we were commenting on this battle. One thing I would like you to notice: the ERS, the charge or the battery charge for the drivers, Kruzik's at some points is as low as 5% of charge. Lorman's, he does have the harder tire, so immediately coming out of the corner, he might not have as good as traction as the mediums. Nonetheless, his tires probably. Of course, it depends a little bit on driving style, but he's on the hards that degrade a bit slower, so he would probably have a bit more life on his tires, and he also has the ERS charge to boot, so he could really press that advantage.
Spades, they're having a go into turn 4 as the Ferrari of Ace of Spades really starting to come into his own here on Iceman, but Iceman is going to try and get position off both of them, and they do. Kaibachini's also fighting the Ferrari driver as well, again trying to see if he can make his position back as well. Free ride, that was close. I thought that was going to end in tears, but luckily they just kept it cautious and they were avoiding trouble, and some good racing from all 3 of them there.
Speaking of ending in tears, Cully and Dinator are battling for the last of the points paying positions.
Oh no!
You might have created a bit of bad blood between them, because there was a bit of rubber contact. Ooh, Curly has a big tag slapper coming out of turn number 9, and that probably throws an end to his chances of getting that top 10 slot. I apologize. But yeah, there was a bit of argy-bargy there, a bit of feistiness in both of them, and Dinator took the upper hand that time around, but yeah, there might be a bit of bad blood between them.
Yeah, and I'm in that position quite a lot when I'm in the battle for the points, and I think Iceman is going once again, but I think Iceman gets P6. I'm in the lowest tier in PS4, and I see the battle for P10 for me quite a lot. I see, I'm in 11th place or 12th place. How am I going to get P10? So I can feel what's going on in Curly and Adinator's shoes right now. They don't want to get no points for this race at all, especially in Austria. It's just they're hungry for it. And I want to see both of them get points, but unfortunately only 10 of them can. So it's gonna be really hard. But I think Curly, due to that moment at last lap, maybe their chance had faded a little bit there. So
Jess, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I do plead to you to check the penalties. I think you will be surprised. I think you'll be very, very surprised. In the meantime, we have Ace of Spades coming to blows once again with Iceman as he goes around the outside of turn number 3. And Ace of Spades claims P6. He actually gets a couple car lengths on the Belgium driver, as he gets now an about 4/10 advantage to Iceman, and he might be able to pull away with it. But yeah, Jess, what did you find?
Well, Plexit has got 2 penalties, which I thought he was just going to have the one, and Shadow's got 1 penalty as well. So pretty much they're on the same playing field as I thought they were going to be. But I thought Plexi had 1 and Shadow had 0. But obviously it was the other way around. So that
I
was
do
a
believe
shock.
Plexit says 3 actually.
3.
I do think Plexit's S3 as Kruzix got another one of his own. I don't think it's going to matter too much. Oh no, Lormans is right behind him. I forgot. I saw the 10-second, but that's to the car ahead, not to the car behind. But yeah, at least in the top 3, there's quite a few penalties. I do think Shadow will get P1 because I do believe Plexit says 3 penalties to his name. As Lorman's going to throw himself down the inside, they are literally side by side. Inch perfect side by side coming out of turn number 4, and Lormans does get the advantage. We're going to jump to Plexit, who's getting now through the last couple corners, and it is a bit of suspense in the air because he's going to cross over the line first to close out this Grand Prix. But let's see, will Shadow take the win? The Renault will cross over the line, and there we have it. Shadow takes home the win of the Austrian Grand Prix. Plexit, unfortunately, is going to take P2. Lormans beats Kruzix, as I do believe he's going to claim P3. Kruzix did get a couple penalties. Yes, Kruzix gets P4. J. Cole is going to get a P5. Of course, he might benefit from some penalties as well, but J. Cole, for the time being, is in 4th, actually. Beats Kruzix, who drops down to P5. Efsus Spades, could he also benefit from the misfortunes of the Red Bull? No, he does not. Efsus Spades does get the moto to P8, as Kai Bushimi gets a best result of 7th. Iceman gets a P6. Anti-tie, yes, Kai Bushimi improves to 8 as Anti-tie gets himself a P7, and Dinator claims the last of the points paying positions with Curly in a P11. Those two having a rather disappointing performance. Superior GR finishes in P12. But as I was saying, Kai Bushimi, he got P10 at Monaco, 11th at Canada, but then P9 at France and P8 here today. Is he going to get P7 next race? That's my question. He seems to be improving by one spot each race.
I hope so. I know that he's hungry for it, and it's nice to see him improving because I've known him from using a lot of assists before, but now he's running no assists at all, and I just see a different driver from him now. He's making less mistakes than he was doing before. He's taking it a bit more cautiously, so yeah. And if he gets his best result next week, it will be at his home race, so that will be good as well. And the Renault drivers, they were faultless today. Good results from both of them, and deserving 1-2 for them. And it is Shadow's 2nd win of the season as well.
Yes, it is. It is his 2nd win of the season.
And I've commentated on it.
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9th podium finish in a row. The Renault of Plexit, it is his 3rd podium appearance and his 3rd podium appearance in the last 4 races. It is his second place finish. Yeah, let's just give the rundown of the standings as we have Shadow in P1, Plexit P2, Lormans P3, J. Cole P4, Kruzix P5, Iceman P6, Anti-Type P7, Kai Bushimi P8, Spades 9th, and then P10. And that was my best impersonation of the grid rundown hosted by ex-Matty G, or Matthew Gallagher, but of course the time was running down, and the timer has just trolled me because it went back up to 20 seconds. Thank you very much, game. So this is going, yeah, just some last considerations about the race, maybe from you,
again.
Oh yeah, it resetted again. But yeah, anything to say?
Just a good drive from everyone, and I think only a few people escaped with penalties, which is quite shocking. I think it was J. Cole and Enterjoy, the only guys not got penalties. Everyone else got penalties of some sort, so yeah, it's a bit harder to not get penalties than I would have thought, but
especially because we didn't get many of the notifications.
No, yeah, that's why I thought Plexit had 1 penalty, but this he had 2 when I checked, so that was a bit of a shock. But anyway, great race from the PC guys. I wonder if the rest of the tiers are going to follow suit for the other platforms later on this week then.
Well, let's see. Let's see how it goes. Well, I guess it is 8 for today, right? So if you guys enjoyed it, we're going to, if you guys enjoyed it, I would request you guys to give a like button. Of course, it promotes the video to other people because of the YouTube algorithms, and possibly we can expand ourselves as a community. We only have 1 tier. We have quite a few reserves, but we don't have enough people. I do believe we don't have enough people for a 2nd tier. So maybe with the growth of the community, we could get more people racing and more leagues, and through your likes, that could be a good way of YouTube to promote our broadcast. So this is it for today. If you enjoyed it, do give us a like. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever we are about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.